Stop the brake.
Well, nowadays you have to left foot brake. If you want to be, I think Dario's the only guy in the whole world that still right foot brakes in an Indy car. It is quicker to left foot brake.
There's always a debate about left foot braking and right foot braking, I think, and it's sort of like the debate on roll centers. if roll centers were that simple, they would have figured it out 10 years ago. But I left foot brake in these cars. It often depends on the type of car that you're driving. Synchronized transmission, you got a right foot brake just to preserve the transmission. With dog ring gearboxes, you can often left foot brake depending on the cut of the dogs and the durability of the transmission and your ability to time the shifts.
Downshifting is an art in which very few people can ever master. I mean, it is tough to get the blips correct and all that type of thing. Really, left foot braking is the only way that we've ever done it, unless, you know, a few times I jumped in sports cars where you had to right foot brake because you had to use the clutch. But I think all of those things are changing now, and really the one and only way to do it is left foot braking, especially with the fact that the brakes are getting better and better and your brake zones are getting smaller and smaller. It's harder ultimately for pace to be switching your feet around. So I mean, I think left foot braking's the answer, but everybody's got their own opinions.
You know, I've always felt there's an advantage to right foot braking in that when you right foot brake, you know, if the seat is not perfectly, fitted to your body, you know, there's a forward motion with your left foot. So if I'm braking with my left foot, my momentum goes into that brake pedal a little bit, so I will over brake a little bit. If I have my left foot on a dead pedal, you know, I feel I have better modulation.
Not many drivers right foot brake anymore, truly. And I think a lot of that comes from open wheel cars. Not only can you go immediately from throttle to brake, but also you can, even in this day and age, I use the brake to if I'm fighting a car or, you know, something's happening with it, I'll use the brake, or I'll be on and off the throttle at the same time to make the car do something that I want it to do, instead of having to go from, you know, with my right foot going from throttle to brake to throttle to brake to throttle to brake. I can do different things with both at the same time.
I'm a bit mixed. On my heavier sports cars, my sedans, my touring cars, I'm a right foot braker. You've got a standard transmission in those most of the time that's actually relatively close to what stock is. And even in our Rolex series, in our GT Porsches with a sequential box, I'll right foot brake there. You've got a heavy car with a platform that slowly transfers weight for the most part relatively to your lighter weight cars, and a gearbox that, especially for endurance racing, benefits a right foot brake where you can dip the clutch. I left foot brake in the stock car racing that I do, and in any Formula car racing that I've done, and certainly in the prototype racing. The reason I left foot brake is because the weight transfer and the grip is so much higher that you can, it's not, and the braking capability is so much higher that it's nice to have your foot over a pedal, make a very quick adjustment, very quick hard hit to the brakes, because a lot of these lightweight prototypes and the Formula cars can take a heavier pressure because you've got more downforce and a little more grip.
The biggest difference between braking in go-karts and braking as cars is, I think in cars, I know in cars it's a lot easier to damage your tires. I mean, that's the number one thing. You know, we get a lot of go-karters, a lot of young drivers step up into the car racing, and they're flat spotting tires and burning through tires left and right because of that mistake.
When you move into cars, it's often about using different amounts of percentage of brake. In a go-kart, it might be threshold braking or no braking. In a car, it's all about how you apply the brake and how you release the brake. The braking distances are longer, so there's a lot more technical side to it. Bob Bonnardt was a great teacher of mine and really taught me that how you apply the brakes in a race car, because you have more weight and suspension, and how you release the brake has a lot more to do with how the car handles and ultimately whether you stay on the track or not.
One of the first things that you need to start familiarizing yourself with is the brake bias and where the readout is on the dash, something that a lot of people don't know, even after a couple of years of driving cars. You need to establish a baseline, and you need to sneak up on it slowly. If you're lucky enough to be with a teammate or with a car that's already been driven, then there is a baseline. You know, it could be 55%, whatever it is. You always want to make sure that number is there. And then I always tend to go a little bit more to the rear first when I'm trying to figure out where the best bias is, because if you do that and you lock up a rear tire, you'll just get a little bit of rear end chatter, and it won't lock up and stop and usually flat spot like you do with a front tire. Once I start to get that, then I'll go just a little bit to the front. But I never usually go the other way, trying to explore the front first, because it's very easy to lock up front tires. And like I said, you know, $2,000 or whatever dollars for a set of tires and the loss of track time, you know, you really don't want to take that chance.
I always tell the young kids, you know, spend money on safety gears. That's the most important things. You know, you can't really, you know, be lean on that. You know, that's the things that you really need to spend money on, because your safety is the most important. And without being safe in a race car, you're not going to be able to perform at your best.